What is up, everybody? Logan here again. I'm joined by Vance, and we're going to go over the 3K to 10K challenge. Now, the last 2 weeks have not been the easiest for us, but we've still actually walked away profitable. We've had a couple plays we actually had to roll. One of them was DocuSign call credit spread, and then also a Netflix position as well. And we did roll the Netflix one for a debit and the Docu one for a credit. You guys can see here, this is our last 2 weeks through trading, where week 3 we only made 1.12%, and then this past week with 2.26. So we're still, doing well with the account, but we are a little bit slower right now in the last 2 weeks than we anticipated, but that's just part of trading. So I appreciate you coming back on, Vance.
Like you said, we're a little bit behind the eight ball on stuff. We had some what would look like to be some really great plays starting into the week that kind of didn't really come through for us the way we were hoping for. I'm gonna trip on over to the trade tab, but basically, yeah, we had an Nvidia play that we put on that ended up closing for max profit, which was really awesome.
Yeah, that was
So we
awesome.
made a dollar two credit on that. We had an Amazon butterfly. I'm sorry, Amazon Iron Condor,
Yep.
and that we put that on near the end of the week. That got a little stressful for us. So I know some people didn't get into it maybe at as good of an open price or get into it at all. And then it fell a lot on Friday, and it really pushed up against the put side of our strikes. So it was a little stressful that day, but we didn't have to roll it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I got out of it for a 10-cent debit. So, and I think a lot of people who were in there were probably got out around the same area, whether or not they got closed out by their broker or they voluntarily closed it out near the end of the day.
Yep.
Uh, the the big thing we had to do was we had to roll our docu again,
Yep.
um, and we also had to roll our Netflix Iron Condor. Netflix was honestly a little disappointing. All the technical setups were showing that it even though it was kind of on a tear, there was a lot of accumulated resistance up at the 520 level,
Yep.
and it didn't hold, which was kind of disappointing. So what we did was we turned around and we rolled it. We rolled it from a call credit to a put credit spread.
Mm-hmm.
So because our general belief now is that it's still going to kind of tear up a little bit. So with any luck, what will happen is it'll continue its rise this week. It won't fall back down, and we'll be able to close out that spread. It won't be as profitable because we did roll it for a debit, but if we can get out of that one without losing any collateral, that's always the best scenario.
Yep.
And
That's
if it does seem to kind of taper off and doesn't seem to be kind of screaming, what we can always do is throw a call on it to kind of get some of that premium back in the week.
That's what I was thinking too. With Netflix, with rolling it up to the put credit strikes now. And what's really nice is we're basically at the money for the put credit spreads. Netflix basically just goes sideways from here. Through next week, we should be good. Of course, we don't want it to like pull back. But with the price upgrade, the price action, with it squeezing to go bullish now, it looks like we're going to continue upwards. So I think it's the best way to attack the trade and to mess with it again, which is totally fine with me. If we have to, this coming week, we can always flip it back on the call side. If, it continues to run on us and we want to hop on top of it, and then we could add the put side, like you were saying, or vice versa, to collect some of that back. So I think that's one thing a lot of the people who are in the account challenge and maybe they took Netflix, and I know some people messaged me, said, hey, I passed on Netflix this week, and other ones who they got in on Amazon. And then I know Amazon, we had an issue filling for, I would say, half the members, trying to fill it separately there. So for me, I filled just the call side and got 49 credit for doing just the call side. Didn't add the put side because I couldn't get it to fill, which, it's fine. So for me, I made a little bit less, but still, the Nvidia play did fantastic for me. That was one of my better trades of the week. Yep, Docu and Netflix over the last, 2 weeks, because we've been handling Docu for 2 weeks and Netflix for the last week. Were just the two little hiccups. So I truly feel for anybody who's only in those two positions. That's got to just feel tough, but we sized appropriately with Docu. We got one contract, 500 collateral out of the $4,000 that we're up to now, roughly. And the Netflix one, we're in a little bit, with two of them with 1,000 collateral going. As long as we can preserve it, at least half of it or so, and continue to just build with the rest of the money that we have, everything still points to being really well. But yeah, I mean, two losers out of the last, 18 trades. I'll take that percentage.
86% win rate,
Yep.
which, I mean, that's pretty astounding. There's most traders out there, they're happy with a 50% win rate.
Yep.
So, when you can post anything above, 50 or 60%, and you're still making money, you're doing something right, which is good. Um, I know this week I think we were talking about earlier, Logan, I think we're gonna target a few more of those kind of, I don't call them snipe type plays, but go in on a Monday for a Tuesday, maybe go in on Tuesday for a Wednesday expiration. Try to get in and get out, get a good 5-10%, and just kind of keep that funds available, rolling and available, so we can get into bigger plays as they appear.
And that's what I was thinking too. As we're closing in on 4K, like we're $16 short with the account like that we're tracking. I think through as we go through the week, like you said, these snipe plays picking up 3%, 4%, 5% here and there. Zero DTE credit spreads, or grabbing some Tesla put credit spreads and they gap up, and you can close that position for a good profit. And if we kind of do that, shoot for like $200 a week as we scale it, as we let the collateral come back to us from the Netflix and DocuPlay. And that's what's really nice about the way we're trading, is if we have to roll those again, which isn't ideal, but might happen, right? If we have to roll those again, they're super defendable. Rolling plays, and it's just defendable, where it's really hard to defend if we were doing naked calls and puts. All the trades have been, it's been a little slower for the small account than I would say like the rest of the call out channels over the past week,
Ultimately, the problem with a smaller account is that sometimes you can't get into the bigger, more potentially profitable plays. They can give you a consistent 7 or 8% return on the investment, because you're limited with the capital you have available.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, like, once we get to the $5,000 or $6,000 range in the account, I think it'll be noticeable with what we can do, because you've got more money that you can put into more plays potentially.
Yep.
And also you can compound in a particular place. So if we feel really great about a particular setup, you don't have to do 1 or 2 lots. You could put 5 lots into it, and then if it hits that home run, you've really exponentially grown the account.
Just as the account scales, do that a couple days a week. Once we hit that $5,000, $6,000 mark, so it's really just this next 4,000 to 5. It's still gonna. I bet it'll probably take us 2 or 3 weeks, but once we get everything else managed properly and hit a couple more plays and get to that 5K mark, we're already still up. What is that? 22% plus 5% plus 3. I mean, that right there is 30% already on the account.
Yeah, we're up almost $1,000 in the account since we started it. So, and that's in 4 weeks. That's not bad. I mean, that's really good. When you really think about it, to be up $1,000 in 4 weeks, that's a 30% gain approximately.
You guys will throw one rut on. I would throw like 2, and I'm just trying to experiment with it a little more, because I know we're following your account for it the most. So I'm experimenting with, hey, we called 1 rut trade, I'll grab 2, and just kind of messing with it that way. Or if, something with 2 was called out, I sometimes just grab 1 and treat it like, in my Roth, like, hey, this is the small account challenge. The last 2 weeks have been a little bit slower, but I'm pumped for week 5.
I think it's going to be really interesting because, the S&P it keeps testing new highs. I mean, last week, I think Wednesday, and I think Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we all tested new highs.
Yep.
We didn't necessarily end the day at an all-time high, but we brushed up and created one, at least temporarily.
Yep.
And when you look at the S&P on a chart, like it's firing, it's got a squeeze firing on the daily for the long. I mean, it doesn't really show any signs of really letting go, and that's really great for putting on plays. because a play where, on Monday at, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe a little bit earlier, you can put on that put credit spread. And by the time the next day, Tuesday morning opens, like you can close out that spread so you don't have a day trade violation,
Yep.
and you can easily capture, 40, 50, 60% of the initial credit that was put up.
Yep.
And because of the way the S&P is moving, like you were never at risk. Like you had never had a chance of really being at risk, because it wasn't ever going to turn around and drop.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, especially the first half of the week. Looks like it'll be stable, and going to continue to watch the VIX as it's been kind of hovering around 18 to 15, and
16 to 18 is actually, it's a really good environment for
yeah,
VIX.
no, this is my favorite trading environment.
I remember 5-6 years ago, the VIX was down like at like the 8, 9, 10. And people are like, you can't trade in a slow environment. You don't get premium for anything. And it's I think you get naysayers in any environment that's like, you can't trade VIX. The VIX is at 16. You can't trade. That's insane. And then you get people who are like, it's at 14. That's too high. And 12 is too low. It's, though people are gonna be never happy wherever it's at. I think this is a great environment. It's good premium, but it's not so exaggerated that the expected move on the S&P is like 80 points, for a day. Like, I don't want that.
I agree. I wouldn't want that either. And I've been loving the VIX here too, especially for iron flies.
I think once we've got 5,000, I think we're going to do one day. Hopefully just have a nice calm day and drop one on there and make $200-$250 in a day on an iron fly. And that'll be probably, looking over here at our plan. Right. So kind of have it scoped out here. Once we're at $5,000, like this week right here by July, this last week of July, we should hopefully be at about 5,200. Our plan for the week is 350. So if we throw an iron fly on and make $200 in a day, man, we've just knocked half our goal away on a Monday. And that's why, like we said, once you get to that range where you've got $5,000+ there's just the amount of things we can do, it opens up. And it's going to be a lot easier to profit, because we can take a little bit more of a riskier play with like that 0 DTA iron fly, or put 5 lots on a I would feel more comfortable putting $250 to $2,500 on SPY or S&P puts for 0 or 1 DTE, knowing that, hey, we can capture easily $100 $150 in a day. Like, you feel more comfortable than like when you only have $3,000 and you do that. If you lose, you blow out the account, game over. We've got $2,300 to run plays with. Because it's not tied up in anything right now. So honestly, you could, with $2,300, you could go on Monday, $1,500 into 3 SPX trades, and go in like a 10 delta and try to capture 30 or 40 cents per trade, and if you ran 3 of them, that's $100. You can do, but you have that ability to do it even after fees, capture $100 in a day, and that's something that I think we're going to start to look at a little bit like that. It's just, like we said, getting in and getting out a little bit quicker.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I appreciate you coming on for another video. I think it's a great place to wrap it up. But that's going to be everything for us. If you guys have yet to leave a like on the video, do that now, a comment, subscribe. And then if you want to join the Discord to follow along with the 3K to 10K challenge that we've been having a blast with, the link is in the description. But I appreciate you for coming back on, Vance.
Not a problem, man. Anytime, Logan.
And yeah, it's going to be everything for us. And we will see you guys in the next video.